offense evolving from what it was last season?
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of the same things. I think it's, I've said this before, it's really, Coach Campbell's offense, and, it's our job to continue to implement the things that we believe that will help us. And hopefully, like every year, you try to find ways to do everything a little bit better. I think that's how we spend our off season. And then as you go through, you try to find things that fit our players the best, and whatever that may be, hopefully it's a little bit better. And I think that's the goal every year, is just to strive for it to be a little bit better than it was the year before.
One of the deals was for Brock, I don't know whether it was you or him or Matt or I don't know, somebody, hang in the pocket longer. Don't give up on the pocket, which everybody understands as a true freshman. You see guys coming at him, you get
sure.
it, take off and run like hell. But is he hanging? Do you notice him hanging in the pocket? For 2 or 3 more counts.
Yeah, I think he's worked extremely hard at, keeping his eyes down the field and being in the pocket. And I think at the same time, I think that's a fine line when I think also you see how many plays that he made scrambling and getting out of the pocket. So, it's obviously something that for us to be successful. That we want him to be able to stay in the pocket and hang in there when you have to hang in there. But we also understand that part of his game is, finding ways to maneuver around defenders and find windows. And so, yeah, he's improved greatly on it. I think for him, he spent a great deal of time, watching himself, studying himself, and really has put a great emphasis on helping himself to get better at that.
I think last year you and I was maybe about 50-50 in terms of 3 or 4-man front and switching. What's the challenge, especially with some of those young guys, if they're going to switch looks they give you guys?
Yeah, I think that's a big challenge. Number one, it's the first game of the year, but I think those guys are really well coached on defense. We felt the same way even 2 years ago. They played multiple fronts, and I think that they obviously had the ability to do that. And being an offensive line coach at heart, I understand that's stressful on the offensive lineman. It's a difficult thing, and we've been trying to prepare us the best we can, and that's certainly a concern. And I think that's the one thing that they do great on defense, is that they have the ability to be very multiple in what they do from a front standpoint, from a coverage standpoint, and you can tell they're extremely well coached when you watch them play.
Does that mostly affect the O-line, or does it even go back to some of your guys, guys like Johnny and Brees and Sheldon, all those guys?
No, it certainly affects everybody. I think probably at the epicenter of it's the offensive line. But yeah, it changes people's reads, changes quarterbacks' reads based on what people can do at a certain fronts and certain coverages. So, it's certainly a big chore for us to find a way to move the ball consistently against a good defense.
Do you feel any different now about the wide receiver group as opposed to maybe when you started camp? I mean, you knew you'd have Jones and Milton, but then just filling out, the other guys, maybe the 6'7" or whatever guys.
Yeah, we feel like those guys have worked really hard. I think we've put a lot on it. Coach Shieldhouse has done a really good job of putting pressure on those guys and putting in pressure situations and really spending the extra hours helping those guys learn and grow. And we feel like those guys have come along, and obviously it's a long season. We've got to keep pushing that group along. But we've been really, really happy with their competitiveness and really happy with their growth as a whole. And those guys they've worked really hard to get better.
How close up to the game do you guys go with trying to sort out running back and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, we still got a couple of days of practice. So, I mean, we'll keep going. We'll have a big conversation tomorrow. It's kind of Thursdays. We usually do those kind of things, and then, we still practice tomorrow and Friday. So,
how much of it will be, even whoever you guys put out there to start, is going to be like you up in the press box, or coaches on the field having a feel of the flow of the game of who you put in there?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. Like it's a little bit of it I think will be flow. A little bit of it will be is what situations are we in, and I think we'll try to iron that out here. But yeah, it's one of those things that I wouldn't be fair to give you an absolute, because at this point we have an idea but we don't know.
What are the ramifications, if any, of putting a true freshman out there right now in game 1?
Yeah, I don't know if there's. I think each kid's different. I think it's like anybody that hasn't played yet. Inexperience it's what it is. It's an experience. But I don't know if that's always a hindrance to guys. I think every guy handles that situation differently. You look at when Brock came in as a true freshman. I don't think he knew anything. If you threw me out there as a true freshman, we'd be in trouble. So each kid, I think, kind of individual basis, and I think position has a little bit of how many things do they have to know, how many things could put us in a really bad situation. So, but it probably comes down to a little bit more of the individual, and then also how many situations have we been able to put them in and feel really comfortable that they have earned confidence in what they're doing.
Is anything? I'm assuming you'll be up in the press box and stuff. Anything different with the way things will be handled in terms of, or
No,
same as pick up where you
I
left
pretty
off,
much
just
just kind of
everything?
sat right back down in that seat in the corner and pretty much the same. Yep.
Coach Campbell said that he loves the fact that after you play this game, whatever the result, you get the week off. Said you were used to that at Mountain Union, it always happened there. What's the value of getting that self-evaluation week, again, right after camp to heading into the
Yeah, we were fortunate at Mount Union. I think Coach Karras always kind of set it up that way as the athletic director. And his belief was always that teams can make a great growth between week 1 and week 2. And so hopefully for us, I think that is there's a lot of pressure and anxiety, and those guys just got done with fall camp and they go into the season, and I think it's really good to have an opportunity to step back and say, okay, what is what we're doing the right thing? Where do we need to get better? What are the things that maybe might help our offense or might help our defense? And I believe it too. I think there's tremendous growth can be just about getting the first one under your belt and figuring out what's next. You're actually in those situations that you were trying to mock and mimic in practices, but now you're having the ability to actually go out there and see it live.